Projected 50% increase in demand for commercial astronaut services by Q2 2025. As we approach the second quarter of 2025, expert predictions suggest a remarkable 50% increase in demand for commercial astronaut services across the aerospace, telecommunications, and research sectors. This forecast is driven by technological advancements, increased investments in space exploration, and the growing interest from both private companies and government entities in space activities. Key drivers of increased demand. 1. Technological advancements. Innovations in rocket technology and spacecraft design are making space travel more accessible and cost-effective. Companies like Blue Origin and SpaceX are leading the charge with reusable rocket technology, which significantly reduces the cost of launching payloads into space. These advancements are not only facilitating space tourism but also enabling more complex missions that require human presence in orbit. 2. Investment in space exploration. A surge in funding from both private and public sectors is propelling the commercial space industry forward. Governments are increasingly recognizing the strategic importance of space, leading to partnerships with private companies. This investment is expected to spur the development of new services and capabilities, further driving the demand for commercial astronaut services. 3. Growing interest in space activities. The allure of space exploration is attracting more entities to consider opportunities in orbit. This includes not only private corporations but also academic institutions and research organizations looking to conduct experiments in microgravity. The potential for scientific breakthroughs in fields like materials science, biology, and physics is prompting a greater need for astronauts who can oversee these experiments. Competitive landscape. The competitive landscape for commercial astronaut services is evolving, with key players like Blue Origin and Roscosmos ramping up their efforts. Blue Origin, founded by Jeff Bezos, Blue Origin is focusing on its New Glenn rocket, which aims to facilitate space tourism and cargo delivery. The company is also investing in its suborbital flight services through New Shepard, which has already successfully flown several missions. Blue Origin's commitment to developing a robust infrastructure for space travel positions it as a strong contender in the commercial astronaut services market. Roscosmos, the Russian space agency, is enhancing its capabilities to compete with international players. Historically a dominant force in space exploration, Roscosmos is now focusing on modernizing its fleet and expanding its commercial offerings. This includes collaborations with private companies and foreign partners, reflecting a shift towards a more competitive stance in the global space market. Sector-specific use cases. 1. Telecommunications. The telecommunications sector is at the forefront of this demand increase, particularly with the deployment of satellites for improved global internet coverage. Commercial astronauts will be needed for the assembly and maintenance of these satellites in low Earth orbit, where the demand for high-speed internet services is soaring. 2. Research. The research sector is experiencing a growing need for microgravity environments to conduct experiments that cannot be performed on Earth. This includes fields such as pharmaceuticals, materials science, and biological studies. The ability to conduct research in space provides unique insights and innovations that can have significant terrestrial applications. Public-private partnerships. The anticipated rise in demand for commercial astronaut services underscores the importance of public-private partnerships. These collaborations are essential for fostering innovation and improving accessibility to space. By leveraging the strengths of both sectors, stakeholders can enhance the safety, efficiency, and frequency of commercial spaceflights. Regulatory frameworks. As the market for commercial astronaut services expands, there is a pressing need for regulatory frameworks to keep pace. Safety regulations must be established and refined to ensure that as more companies enter the market, they adhere to high standards that protect both astronauts and the public. Regulatory bodies will need to work closely with industry leaders to develop guidelines that promote responsible exploration while encouraging growth and innovation. Timeline of events. The commercial space industry has been gaining momentum since the early 2000s, marked by key milestones such as the first privately funded spacecraft reaching the International Space Station in 2012. The upcoming pivotal moment is expected in Q2 2025, when the projected 50% increase in demand for commercial astronaut services is likely to materialize. This timeline aligns with the planned launches and operational capabilities of various companies, suggesting a transformative period for the industry. Conclusion. In summary, the projected increase in demand for commercial astronaut services reflects a dynamic shift in the space industry driven by technological advancements, increased investment, and a growing interest in space exploration. As companies like Blue Origin and Roscosmos intensify their efforts to capture this expanding market, the need for skilled astronauts will become increasingly pronounced. The interplay of public-private partnerships and regulatory frameworks will be critical in shaping a safe and innovative future for commercial space activities. The developments leading up to Q2 2025 are poised to redefine the landscape of space exploration and commercial services, marking a new era in humanity's pursuit of the stars. The projected 50% increase in demand for commercial astronaut services by Q2 2025 is intriguing, especially when considering the implications of such growth across the aerospace, telecommunications, and research sectors. Several counterintuitive points emerge from this projection and the surrounding discourse. 1. Public interest versus government investment. While one might assume that government space agencies would lead the charge in space exploration, the rise of private companies like Blue Origin indicates a shift in public interest towards commercial endeavors. This suggests that public enthusiasm for space may be more aligned with private sector initiatives, challenging the traditional view that government agencies are the sole drivers of space exploration. 2. Microgravity research demand. It may seem logical that research sectors would primarily rely on terrestrial laboratories for experiments. However, the anticipated increase in demand for microgravity research directly contradicts this assumption, highlighting a specialized niche that can only be fulfilled through commercial astronaut services in space. This underlines a growing recognition of the unique scientific opportunities that microgravity environments present, which many might overlook in favor of conventional research settings. 3. Regulatory frameworks and innovation. Typically, one might argue that stringent regulatory frameworks stifle innovation. However, the anticipated increase in demand for commercial astronaut services suggests that well-structured regulations could actually foster innovation by ensuring safety and efficiency in space missions. This counterintuitive perspective posits that appropriate regulation may create a more conducive environment for private companies to explore and expand their capabilities. For international competition, the narrative generally presents competition in space as a race among a few prominent players, primarily from the US. However, the involvement of international entities like Roscosmos indicates that the competitive landscape is broader than commonly perceived. The emphasis on international competition may lead to unexpected partnerships or collaborations that could enhance technological advancements rather than simply pitting nations against each other. 5. Technological advancements versus operational capacity. The expectation that advancements in technology will lead to immediate operational capacity might be overly optimistic. While innovation is rapid, the complexities involved in launching and maintaining commercial astronaut services suggest that a gap may exist between technological capability and practical implementation. This discrepancy challenges the assumption that technological readiness directly translates to operational success. 6. Public-private partnerships. The belief that public-private partnerships are solely beneficial for private companies may overlook the reciprocal advantages they offer to public entities as well. As the demand for astronaut services grows, government agencies may find themselves relying on the innovations and efficiencies provided by private companies, creating a symbiotic relationship that contradicts the notion of competition. 7. Broadening use cases. One might assume that the primary use cases for commercial astronaut services would revolve around space tourism or research. However, The increasing interest in leveraging space for telecommunications and global internet coverage highlights a broader spectrum of applications. This diversification challenges the conventional focus on traditional space activities and underscores the potential for commercial astronaut services to influence various sectors. 8. Market growth versus economic viability. The expectation of a 50% increase in demand raises questions about the economic viability of such growth. While optimism abounds regarding the potential for market expansion, there may be underlying challenges related to funding consumer demand and the sustainability of commercial astronaut services. This presents a counterintuitive scenario where anticipated growth may not necessarily equate to economic success. 9. Historical context. The narrative around the commercial space industry often emphasizes recent milestones such as the first private spacecraft reaching the International Space Station. However, this focus may underplay the historical challenges and failures that have shaped the current landscape. Acknowledging these past struggles can provide a more nuanced understanding of the industry's resilience and the potential pitfalls that lie ahead. 10. Future projections. The timelines and growth projections vary significantly among different sources. This disparity raises questions about the reliability of forecasts in an inherently unpredictable field. It suggests that stakeholders should approach projections with caution, recognizing that rapid changes in technology, public interest, and geopolitical factors can swiftly alter the landscape, making any specific timeline speculative at best. In conclusion, the projected 50% increase in demand for commercial astronaut services by Q2 2025 reveals a complex interplay of factors that challenge conventional wisdom. From the dynamics of public interest and regulatory frameworks to the nuances of international competition and economic viability. These counterintuitive insights invite a deeper exploration of the future of commercial space activities. The report on the projected 50% increase in demand for commercial astronaut services highlights several critical aspects that many may overlook. Understanding these nuances is essential for grasping the long-term implications for various sectors involved in space activities. 1. Technological advancements as a double-edged sword. While advancements in technology are often celebrated for enabling new capabilities and reducing costs, there is a significant underlying concern regarding the potential for technological obsolescence. As companies like Blue Origin and Roscosmos invest in cutting-edge technologies, they are also setting a fast pace that may outstrip regulatory frameworks and safety protocols. The potential for rapid changes could lead to a lack of standardization, which might compromise safety and reliability. This factor is significant because in a field as inherently risky as space travel, ensuring safety amidst rapid innovation is crucial for public trust and industry sustainability. 2. International competition and its implications. The competitive landscape is shifting, particularly with traditional players like Roscosmos intensifying their efforts against emerging private companies such as Blue Origin. This competition is not merely about capturing market share, it also influences geopolitical dynamics. The space race, reminiscent of the Cold War era, may lead to increased collaboration in some areas but also heightened tensions in others. This significance lies in the potential for space activities to be used as leverage in international relations, impacting everything from technology sharing to defense strategies. 3. The role of public-private partnerships. The report emphasizes the critical role of public-private partnerships in fostering innovation and accessibility in space. However, many people may overlook the complexity and challenges that come with these partnerships. While they can accelerate development and share risks, they also raise questions about accountability, transparency, and the equitable distribution of benefits. The significance here is that as the market matures, the frameworks governing these partnerships will need to evolve, ensuring that they serve public interests and not just corporate profit motives. For regulatory frameworks and safety protocols, the need for adaptive regulatory frameworks is mentioned, but the implications of delayed or insufficient regulations are often underestimated. The rapid growth of the commercial astronaut services market could lead to a scenario where safety regulations lag behind technological advancements, resulting in potential accidents or failures. This is significant because any such incidents could have catastrophic consequences not just for the companies involved but for the entire commercial space industry, potentially stalling progress and eroding public confidence. 5. Emerging use cases beyond traditional sectors. While the report focuses on aerospace, telecommunications, and research, it is crucial to highlight emerging use cases that may not receive adequate attention. For example, sectors like agriculture, climate monitoring, and disaster management could also benefit from commercial astronaut services. The significance of this diversification lies in its potential to create new markets and applications, thereby broadening the scope of space activities beyond traditional boundaries and fostering broader societal benefits. 6. Microgravity research demand. The increasing need for microgravity research is a key driver of demand, yet its complexities may be overlooked. Conducting research in microgravity environments is not merely about having access to space. It involves significant logistical, scientific, and financial considerations. The significance here is that as more institutions seek to exploit microgravity for various applications, the demand for skilled astronauts and related services will grow, shaping the workforce and educational needs of the future. 7. Timeline considerations and industry readiness. The report anticipates a surge in demand by Q2 2025. But the readiness of the industry to meet this demand is often understated. The timeline involves not just technological readiness but also market readiness, public policy alignment, and workforce development. If the industry is not adequately prepared, it may result in missed opportunities, increased costs, and a potential slowdown in the anticipated growth trajectory. This is significant as it highlights the interconnected nature of various factors that must align for the industry to thrive. 8. Impact on global internet coverage. The mention of satellite deployment for enhanced global internet coverage is a critical point that may seem like a secondary issue but is substantial. Improved internet access has far-reaching implications for education, economic development, and global communication, particularly in underserved areas. The significance of this is multifaceted. As commercial astronaut services expand to support satellite deployment, they can play a vital role in bridging the digital divide, which is a critical issue in the modern world. 9. Public perception in space tourism. The report briefly mentions space tourism as part of the commercial astronaut services market. However, public perception of space tourism, especially in terms of safety, environmental impact, and accessibility, is a significant factor that could influence demand. While there is a growing interest in space tourism, public acceptance hinges on perceptions of safety and environmental responsibility. This aspect is significant because it could directly affect the market's growth trajectory and the strategies companies employ to attract customers. 10. Workforce development and training programs. The anticipated increase in demand for commercial astronaut services will necessitate a corresponding growth in workforce development and training programs. The complexities of astronaut training, which encompasses not only technical skills but also physical and psychological preparedness, are often underestimated. This significance lies in the potential challenges of scaling training programs to meet rising demand, which could affect the quality of personnel entering the field. In conclusion, while the report outlines a promising growth trajectory for commercial astronaut services, the overlooked aspects identified above underscore the complexities and challenges that lie ahead. Addressing these issues is crucial for ensuring that the burgeoning market not only expands but does so in a safe, equitable, and sustainable manner. The implications of these factors will shape the future of space exploration and commercial activities, making it essential for stakeholders to consider them thoughtfully. 1. Market growth drivers. The anticipated 50% increase in demand for commercial astronaut services by Q2 2025 is driven by multiple factors, including technological advancements, heightened investment in space exploration, and growing interest from private and governmental sectors. This surge is expected to be particularly impactful across the aerospace, telecommunications, and research sectors, emphasizing the need for a robust understanding of how these elements interconnect and contribute to market dynamics. 2. Competitive landscape. The competitive landscape is evolving as international players like Blue Origin and Roscosmos ramp up their efforts. Blue Origin is focusing on its New Glenn rocket and other initiatives aimed at space tourism and cargo delivery, while Roscosmos is enhancing its capabilities to remain competitive. The strategies adopted by these companies, including investment in technology and partnerships, highlight significant shifts in global competition and the potential for new entrants to disrupt traditional aerospace markets. 3. Use cases and sector-specific demands. Specific sectors are driving the demand for astronaut services. With telecommunications focusing on satellite deployment for global internet coverage and the research sector emphasizing the need for microgravity environments for scientific experiments. Understanding these use cases is critical for stakeholders to identify opportunities and tailor their services to meet sector-specific requirements, ultimately shaping business strategies and investment decisions. For a regulatory framework and public-private partnerships, the expansion of the commercial astronaut services market necessitates adaptive regulatory frameworks to ensure safety and efficiency. Public-private partnerships are fundamental in fostering innovation and increasing accessibility to space. Analyzing the role of these partnerships in the regulatory landscape will be crucial for stakeholders aiming to navigate the complexities of the growing market while ensuring compliance and operational success. Here are 3 famous historical cases that mirror the anticipated impact of a projected increase in demand for commercial astronaut services and the competitive shift in the aerospace sector. 1. The Space Race 1957 to 1975. The space race was a period of intense competition between the United States and the Soviet Union, primarily focused on achievements in space exploration. Sparked by the Soviet Union's launch of Sputnik 1 in 1957. The race led to significant advancements in aerospace technology and increased funding for space-related endeavors. This competition resulted in landmark achievements, including the first human in space, Yuri Gagarin, and ultimately the Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969. The space race's impact extended beyond national pride. It fostered technological innovations and laid the groundwork for future commercial space activities as private companies began to emerge following the government's initial forays into space exploration. 2. The commercial spaceflight movement 2000s present. The early 2000s marked the beginning of a new era in space exploration with the advent of private companies entering the sector. Pioneers like SpaceX, founded by Elon Musk, and Blue Origin, founded by Jeff Bezos, began developing technologies that would change the landscape of space travel. SpaceX's successful launch of the Falcon 1 in 2006 and subsequent milestones, including the first privately funded spacecraft to reach the International Space Station in 2012, demonstrated the viability of commercial space activities. This movement has led to significant investments in space tourism, satellite deployment, and research in microgravity, illustrating a shift from government-led missions to a competitive commercial environment that is now expanding rapidly. 3. The European Space Agency (ESA) and its commercial initiatives 1980s present. Established in 1975, the European Space Agency has been instrumental in advancing space science and technology in Europe. Over the decades, ESA has fostered partnerships with private companies to enhance commercial opportunities in space. Initiatives like the Public-Private Partnership (PPP) model have encouraged the growth of commercial services in satellite communications, Earth observation, and space exploration. ESA's collaboration with private entities has allowed for the development of innovative technologies that cater to both governmental and commercial needs, reflecting the importance of public-private partnerships in the evolving aerospace landscape. Similar to the anticipated dynamics in the commercial astronaut services market, these historical cases illustrate the transformative effects of competition and collaboration in the aerospace sector, paralleling the current projections for commercial astronaut services and the competitive landscape among international players. The future outlook for commercial astronaut services is poised for significant transformation driven by a projected 50% increase in demand across the aerospace, telecommunications, and research sectors by Q2 2025. This increase is primarily fueled by technological advancements, heightened investment in space exploration, and an expanding interest from both private and governmental sectors in space-related activities. Key drivers of demand. 1. Technological advancements. Innovations in rocket technology, spacecraft design, and life support systems are making space travel more accessible and affordable. Developments in reusable rocket technology, exemplified by Blue Origin and SpaceX, are reducing costs and increasing launch frequencies. 2. Investment boom. The influx of private investment in space exploration is creating a more competitive landscape. Companies like Blue Origin, SpaceX, and Virgin Galactic are not only developing spacecraft for tourism but also for scientific research and satellite deployment, increasing the overall demand for commercial astronaut services. 3. Increasing global interest. Governments around the world are ramping up their space programs and seeking partnerships with private companies in an effort to enhance their capabilities. This includes the European Space Agency, which is looking to collaborate with commercial entities for various missions. 4. Growing need for research. The demand for microgravity research is expected to surge, particularly in pharmaceuticals and materials science. As researchers seek to conduct experiments that can only be performed in space, the need for trained astronauts to facilitate these studies will increase. Competitive landscape. As the market expands, key players are intensifying their competitive strategies. Blue Origin, focused on its New Glenn rocket. Blue Origin is seeking to establish a foothold in both space tourism and satellite launch services. Their strategy includes developing a robust infrastructure for commercial astronaut training and operations. Roscosmos, the Russian space agency, is enhancing its capabilities to compete internationally, which includes launching new missions and developing partnerships with private companies. This move signifies a shift in the competitive dynamics of the space industry. Emerging players, new entrants in the space sector, are also expected to emerge, potentially disrupting the existing market dynamics. These players may offer niche services or innovative solutions that cater to specific segments of the demand. Use cases and sectoral growth. 1. Telecommunications. The push for enhanced global internet coverage via satellite networks is a primary use case driving demand for commercial astronaut services. Astronauts will be needed for satellite assembly and maintenance in low Earth orbit, requiring specialized training and expertise. 2. Research. The need for microgravity environments for scientific experiments in areas like biotechnology and materials science will necessitate a greater number of commercial astronaut missions. This sector is likely to see partnerships between research institutions and commercial spaceflight companies. 3. Space tourism. While still in its infancy, space tourism is expected to grow rapidly, with companies offering suborbital flights and orbital experiences. The increasing number of missions will require more astronauts for coordination, safety, and experience. Regulatory framework and public-private partnerships. As demand increases, there will be a pressing need for regulatory frameworks to ensure the safety and efficiency of commercial spaceflights. Public-private partnerships will be crucial in fostering innovation while ensuring compliance with safety standards. Regulatory bodies like the FAA in the United States will need to adapt to the evolving landscape, potentially streamlining processes to accommodate the influx of new missions. Timeline and milestones. The commercial space industry has been gaining momentum since the early 2000s, with key milestones such as the first private spacecraft reaching the International Space Station in 2012. By Q2 2025, the anticipated 50% increase in demand is expected to coincide with the launch of new missions and services by key players, marking a pivotal moment in the industry. Conclusion. In summary, the future of commercial astronaut services appears vibrant and dynamic, influenced by technological advancements, competitive strategies among key players, and the evolving needs of various sectors. As the demand for astronaut services continues to rise, the industry will need to adapt to new challenges and opportunities, paving the way for a new era of space exploration and commercial activities in orbit. The developments in this field are not merely about reaching new frontiers but also about enhancing life on Earth through innovations inspired by space research and exploration.